It's time for Success in Real Estate with Frankie Griffin, owner and broker in charge of the Palmetto Success Team, certified residential specialist, accredited buyer representative, military relocation professional, real estate appraiser, and author of Success in Real Estate. If you are interested in buying or selling a home, investing in real estate, or having your home appraised, you will enjoy Success in Real Estate. Now, here's Frankie Griffin.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Success in Real Estate. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Frankie Griffin, real estate broker in charge and appraiser. But anyway, it's going to be a great show. I got several things I want to talk about. But the main reason we're here, again, is to make sure you meet your real estate needs and your goals. And we want to help you with that. With the Palmetto Success Team, we're a true team of agents ready to serve you. Whether you're buying a house or selling a house, please give us a call. We'd love to help you. You can go to my website if you want some additional information. And that site is just frankiegriffin.com. Again, frankiegriffin.com. Or you can always call me. And my personal phone is 803-315-7303. Again, 315-7303. And we'd love to schedule an appointment. I can come out and talk to you at your home, or you more than welcome to come by my office, and I can show you around and we can talk about what your needs are. But here's what we want to kind of focus on today on this Friday, and really, really excited about today being Friday. Ready for the weekend, that's for sure. But I want to talk about some real estate etiquette, maybe even a little bit of professionalism that from time to time seems to be a little bit lacking. And I guess I'm really addressing anyone that is wanting to, or looking to buy a house, so buyers, and also buyer agents have a lot to do with some of the things I want to sort of bring up. But, you know, when you're showing a house, or if you're a buyer and you're looking at a house that's for sale, you know, it is just so important to make sure you understand the house you're going into is not just a house. It is someone's personal residence, and it is so important to be respectful of someone else's home when you're in that home. And, you know, kind of look at it as if, you know, you got people coming. If your house was for sale, I mean, wouldn't you expect the public or whoever's coming in to look at it to respect your privacy, respect the fact that this is my home, and you know, sellers understand you got to come in and take a look at it if you're thinking about buying it. But there's just a lot of issues from time to time that we do run into. And so I wanted to list a few of them. And one is, you know, I get calls from my seller clients from time to time after an agent has shown another buyer the house. And some of the things that we keep hearing back from clients is that they went in and maybe they weren't very comfortable with the temperature. Maybe it was a little bit cool in the house. So they went in there and bumped the thermostat up to about 90 degrees. And that's not cool. Don't be touching thermostats and adjusting the temperature, because invariably when you leave, you forget about it and leave it on 90 or wherever you put it. And then when the homeowner gets home, it is very hot in the house, not to mention that light bill is probably going to be affected by whoever walked in and just jacked the heat up. And so don't be doing that. And then we see the same thing in the summertime where they'll go in and turn the air conditioning wide open. And, you know, we don't really need to have clients or sellers getting upset over this kind of stuff. Another thing that I think we need to pay a little bit closer attention to. Occasionally, sellers will have stuff, especially in the kitchen, they may have some stuff out on the counters. And, you know, it probably doesn't show very well to have certain things out on the counters anyway, but nevertheless, it's the seller's home, and if they want to leave stuff out on their counters, then that's their prerogative. But, I had a situation not too long ago where I was actually showing a house. It was my client, and it was a couple, and we were all together in the kitchen, but I did have my back turned to the wife and just talking to the husband. And then the wife sort of walks up and starts talking to us, and I realized the wife had a donut in her hand that she was eating. And I asked her, I said, well, where'd you get that donut? And she said, oh, Frankie, they got a whole box of them over here. Krispy Kreme, no doubt. And in fact, she offered to get me one if I wanted it. I'm not thinking that's your donut there, buyer. And, and I had to, after we left, I had to call the listing agent, and I apologized about that, and I told him that I would go that afternoon and buy another box of Krispy Kreme donuts and take them back over there, and I do apologize, but just little things like that is, again, not cool. It's certainly doesn't fall in the category of being very adequate, I don't think. But anyway, yeah, and then another thing to consider, buyers, is you understand, even if you buy the house, all that's included with the contract is the real property or the house. It does not include personal property like furniture, chairs, couches, dressers, things like that. So if you know you're not getting those type things, then buyer, do you really need to know what's in any of these dresser drawers or any of the drawers? And again, that's an invasion of privacy, and we just don't need to go there. Just stay away from that kind of stuff, because it's certainly going to cause a problem. And a couple more things. I think we're about to run out of time in the first segment, but make sure you've locked all doors and windows before you leave, and especially on nasty days, but I would say at all times, take off your shoes before going into someone else's home. And we are very blessed this morning to have my good friend and South Carolina's #1 attorney, Mr. Andy On, is on the line with us. How you doing, Mr. Andy?
Hey, brother. How you doing?
Oh, it's a fine day today. Yeah.
Well, that sounds good. Yeah, I thought we were going to have all these wintry mixes this week. And it looked like it was more of a threat than a reality. So that's good.
It's been cold though.
It sure has. It sure has. I appreciate you letting me come on today, Frankie. I wanted to tell the audience a little bit about some things that are going on. Last night we had a great tutoring tour on contract negotiations. I attended a CLE last week. As part of the practice of law, we have to go to so much continuing education, just like you do in the real estate practice. And I attended a great CLE last week called "Gaining the Edge." And it was a great topic about contract negotiations and the importance of gathering information when you are in the midst of negotiating contracts. And I think that's something that we lose sight of oftentimes and kind of brush over, kind of assuming that we're gathering all the information, or that we've gathered all the information that we need. And we had a really good discussion last night about different provisions of the contract. And some of what you can do, and some of the advantages you can gain in the negotiation by gathering additional information on the contract. One example that I'd give, under our contract, most buyers have about 5 days within which to apply for financing. And the financing type, in other words, what type of financing you're going to apply for, VA, FHA, conventional, those are mandatory provisions. Mm-hmm. And so the contract says, the buyer will apply for financing, and the financing type shall be conventional. Well, a lot of times, the listing agents involved don't realize that they have not only the right, but in my opinion, the obligation to call the buyer's lender and ensure that the buyer has applied for the type of financing that they have indicated in the contract they're going to apply for. And that's something we had a great discussion about last night, because we actually had a lender there who took the position that, some information was not capable of being disclosed. And some of the information that wasn't capable of being disclosed was information that, in fact, was necessary to determine whether or not the buyer was in compliance with the agreement. And so it comes down to using that information, asking the questions, gathering the information that you can so that you can turn that obstacle into an opportunity in your contract negotiations. And I'll tell you, we had a great turnout last night. We had about 25 to 30 people there last night, and it was a wonderful listing. Shelley Metropole with Experience Real Estate Group had a listing over in Wexford on the Lake, and it was a great listing, and we enjoyed having that there, and it was a good discussion. So we appreciated the opportunity to be there. I wanted to also, Frankie, tell all the real estate professionals that are listening today, we've got an upcoming event on March 13th that is so important, and I'm hoping maybe before then, maybe next week, to come on the show and actually talk about this with somebody from the district, if it's okay with you.
Yeah.
But we are having a District 5 Realtor Advisory meeting.
I've been seeing that. I've been wanting to talk to you about that.
Well, we had, we had one scheduled, back in, I think, November or December last year, and the attendance wasn't great because I think there was some confusion on dates or actually getting the information out about it. Mm-hmm. But this is a great opportunity. District 5 is one of the absolute best school districts, if not the best school district in the state.
No doubt.
And one of the things that we've done when I served on the Sales and Marketing Council, we came up with a program called the Know and Grow program, and it was primarily geared toward school districts and real estate professionals. And the whole idea was know your area so that you can grow your business. In the real estate business, we're out there selling location, right? Selling location and selling all the attributes and the wonderful positive things that go with that location. And how better to do that than to acquaint yourself with what District 5 has got going on. Most real estate agents are selling or marketing or at least, considering property in the District 5 area, and I think it's so important to be there. The date is Friday, March 13th. Okay, it's going to be from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Steve Hefner, who's the district superintendent, will be there, and along with some of the other staff members of the district, and they're going to give us a great overview of what's going on in the district. Okay, and also get feedback from us of what we believe might be needed in the district, or what we believe might be needed in our business. Information that might be needed in our business to market in that area. Mm-hmm. There's so many people that don't understand that in some districts and in some areas there's school choice. I didn't realize that until I went to that meeting back in last year, and that's an important consideration to be able to share with a client that's looking or somebody that's selling and getting ready to buy in another area.
Yeah, absolutely.
So important, but I'm going to get this over to you so that you can get it on the website, and hopefully we'll have a good turnout. So I'll get with you on next week.
Well, that's awesome, Andy. I can't thank you enough for calling in, and we got to get together on when you can bring you and somebody from the district on. And this is, and I would like to see every district do something like this.
I think it'd be a great thing. District 5 has a business roundtable, and they have been trying for years to try to get like a real estate advisory committee together, and so this is, I think, one of the biggest efforts they've made, in kind of conjunction with our office in trying to get real estate professionals to actually come and be part of, the information gathering, the question and answer kind of part of developing what's best about the district, what might need to be improved in the district, what some of the concerns are for the district, these types of things, so that we can, we understand, know all the wonderful things going on in the district, so that we can use that in helping to expand our business.
Well, that's awesome, and we're running out of time in this segment, but I'll make sure I mention coming back on the next one, your information and your website, and look forward to getting on the show here very soon.
Super, brother. Thank you so much. Have a fine day.
Oh, yes. Take care. We'll see.
All right, Frank.
All righty.
See you, man.
Again, that was Andy Awn with Awn & McKay Law Firm. Does so much for the community, as you can tell. I want to make sure that your next real estate experience is a great experience, and it should be something that's enjoyable without all the stress and heartache and some of that, it's kind of hard to do away with, especially if you're selling your house, because if you're selling your house, there's not much I can think of that could be any more inconvenient than trying to sell your house, especially if you're still living there. And I get that, but, we'll try to make it as stress-free as we can. Love to hear from you. If you want to call me on my personal phone, it's my number is 315-7303, 315-7303, or as always, you can certainly go to my website, just frankiegriffin.com, www.frankiegriffin.com, and I'd be more than happy to come out and talk to you. I can certainly come to your home if that's something that would work better for you, or if not, love to have you come by our office and get to sort of give you a tour of the real estate school at the same time, our Real Estate School for Success, which, by the way, has been very, very busy lately. We have been very blessed this year. Most of our classes this year have been completely sold out. So if you are considering getting a license of some sort in real estate, you don't want to wait till the last minute to sign up. That's for sure. All right. Well, here's something I want to talk about right now. And I've sort of listed these things under just agent notes, because some things that, not that it's new, but it's just cropped up a lot here in the last, say, 30 to 60 days. And see if we can't just discuss it, talk about it, and get some of this stuff fixed. But one of the things that is just imperative for real estate agents, especially when we are listing homes and putting them on the market for sale, we have to make sure we know and we must verify what the square footage of that property is. And obviously I'm talking about the heated square footage, because that's what has to be reported. And and I've asked this question many times to agents, and the question is, if you list a house, does the agent have to measure? Now, I will just tell you, you can read the real estate license law from front to rear, and nowhere in that law will you see the words, agents must measure the house. It does not say that at all. But I will tell you what it does say. It does say for any information provided by a real estate agent, that information must be verified as accurate, which suggests to me, at least in terms of square footage, if you're going to provide the square footage, which is a mandatory field in the MLS, so you've got to provide it, then that information has to be accurate, and it's the agent's responsibility to verify that the square footage is accurate. The only way I know or can figure out how to verify square footage, somebody has to measure it. Now, if the agent doesn't want to or doesn't feel comfortable with their ability to measure it, then I do think you've got an obligation and a duty to hire someone that knows what they're doing and get it measured. Because home values are based on square footage analysis. And when we have homes with inaccurate square footage, it's going to have impact on homeowners, and it could cause significant damage in a lot of cases if the square footage is not correct. So it's not hard to measure a house, and I keep equating it with learning how to ride a bike. I guess riding a bike, the first time or two you got on it seemed very difficult, but once you get up on that bike and you learn how to ride it, then you realize it's just not that hard. And measuring houses is no different. In fact, one of the things that I've got coming up that we're going to be doing with my buddy Jerry Bilton here in studio, my professional photographer and videographer, we're actually going to do a video on measuring a house and how to calculate that square footage. So it'll be a video that we hope to do within the next couple of weeks. We'll post it on my YouTube page. It'll also be on our website. But I think you'll find it's just not that hard. But now I do understand there is that degree of confidence or that lack of confidence. I know agents tell me all the time that, I'm just scared to death to report what I measure because I don't know if I've made a mistake or not. Well, I got to tell you, making mistakes is part of life, and those things happen. I don't care who's doing the measuring. But the confidence comes from just doing it, and then maybe have someone else that maybe watched you affirm that you did, in fact, do it right. You got this down. It's not that hard. So these are things that I think are it's very important. Got to get it done. But just to give you an example, I was actually appraising a condominium this past week, and I found it very, very interesting. But every single condominium in this complex that was on the MLS indicated that there was exactly 1,500 square feet. Exactly. That's a little unusual that someone could build a condo and it be exactly 1,500. I could see 1,505, 1,510, 1,490. But exactly 1,500, and every one of them said 1,500. Well, when I measured that unit, there was actually 1,256 feet. A little bit different than 1,500. That causes a lot of problems when it comes to the value, and big time. So these units were nowhere near what was being advertised in the MLS. So I can only assume agents, as they would list one of these condos, they're just using the square footage that other agents reported with similar units that were already in the MLS. And I can just tell you this, sooner or later, that kind of or lack of due diligence is going to bite somebody in the rear, because that can certainly be a problem. Square footage is just so important. We need to learn how to measure it. And if you don't want to measure it, then you need to call someone. In fact, Andy that was on the previous segment didn't talk about this today, but he has said many times that he recommends real estate agents do not measure houses, but he will tell you you do have a duty to have it measured. So it's his opinion that real estate agents should hire an appraiser who is trained in measuring these houses to go out and measure it, provide the sketch for you, and then you've done your due diligence to verify that information. And that's all we can ask. That's what the law requires. But it has to be verified. Now, if you're the property owner, I just think you need to ask your agent or whoever you're hiring to sell your home, make sure they've measured that house. Because, seller, this can come back on you also. Because, you're the one signing this paperwork saying that this amount of square footage exists in your home. And if it's not there, it could be a problem. So we got to make sure it's absolutely right. And towards the end of the segment, our final segment, I will be giving out my cell phone again. So for those of you riding down the road or couldn't catch or couldn't write it down earlier, get ready. I will be providing it at least one more time. But let's go straight to our phone lines where, first up, we've got Letitia. How you doing this morning, Letitia?
Hi, Frankie. How are you?
Oh, it's such a fine day today.
I was just wondering, is right now a good time to get in the real estate business, and if so, why?
Well, you know what? I get that question a lot, and first of all, I think any time's a good time to be in real estate. But right now, there's no question it's a great time. In fact, we're starting to see there are buyers on the market now that, in terms of numbers, that we usually don't see until around the April-May time frame. So a lot of buyers are already out there looking, and it's a good thing for sellers, especially in light of the fact that inventories are as low as they are. So hopefully people that are thinking about selling their house will decide to do so, and let's get it on the market, because inventory is low, which can be a good thing, again, if you're the seller, because that's going to affect supply and demand, which typically means prices go up. But no, it's a great time. Is this something you're looking forward to?
Yes, I am.
Absolutely. You can get your license, and takes a couple weeks. So we got. Well, if you do it during the weekday, we can get your license within about 2.5 to 3 weeks, and I'd say within a month or two, you should be well on your way to making millions selling them houses.
It sounds exciting.
Oh yes, can't wait.
Me either. Thank you, Frankie.
Well, hope you have a great day.
You too.
All right, take care. All right. And if you are considering, or anybody's considering getting a real estate license, we would certainly love to help you. Our Real Estate School for Success, as I said earlier, we've been very, very busy. But you can check out our schedules. We've got them posted on our website, which is just realestateschoolforsuccess.com. 4 is FOR. But realestateschoolforsuccess.com. And then I wanted to go back real quick in the time we've got left, and at least a couple more points that I wanted to talk about. And that is some real estate agents, not all, but some real estate agents really need to pay attention to what the disclosure requirements are. In terms of what has to be disclosed and who has to disclose it, because this is this is another big problem. And seller, if you're getting bad information from your agent in terms of when and why you must disclose things, this can be a very expensive problem for you down the road also. Excuse me. But I'll be okay. I'll be all right. We're I keep, from time to time, I will contact a listing agent asking about a property disclosure form that is required by law on residential real estate. Seller has to fill it out, has to provide it to purchasers. It has to be on the state-approved form. And if I don't see it on the MLS, I'll contact the listing agent to see if it's available and where I could get it. And I keep getting a lot of very a trendy response, I guess, where they tell me the seller is exempt, and which is fine. There are some exemptions, but when I get that, I do like to know, well, what's the exemption? And the comment one I get is, well, Frankie, this is an investment property. The seller is just renting it out. They don't live there. They've never lived there. So landlords, investors are exempt. Well, that's just not true. Investors, you're not exempt. And there are 13 exemptions that are named in the law, and that's not one of them. So if you're thinking that, we need to get that changed, because if you don't provide that disclosure form, again, that can create significant liability on you as the seller. So be very, very careful about when you're going to claim an exemption. I would recommend, if you don't know for sure, you better grab the law. You can look it up and confirm that it is, in fact, an exemption. Because if you mess around and sell that property and there was no property disclosure, you're opening doors to all kinds of problems and legal problems if you're not very, very careful. But just want to bring that out because that's a big one, and I don't know why we've got agents telling their clients that they're exempt if they've never lived there. It's just not. And by the way, on the property disclosure, there's 3 squares that have to be checked to the right of every question, either yes, no, or no representation. And what we're starting to see a lot of is a lot of sellers are checking the no representation. And I'd be very careful with that answer. I'm not saying don't check it, but I'd say be very careful with it. And in fact, I will tell you, again, in the law portion of that disclosure, it very clearly states in there that if you check no representation for any answers, you must consult with an attorney to determine any potential liability you may have for checking that answer. So just understand, when you go there, you may need an attorney to go with you. So I would consider the yes or no. And again, all it's asking is, what do you have knowledge of? What do you have knowledge of? And do you have knowledge of any known defects concerning whatever the question's asking about? So if you don't know the answer, then I would say check no. Because no does not mean there are no problems. No means I have no knowledge of any problems, and there's a big difference there. Can there be problems with a home and the seller have no knowledge of it? You betcha. And if you don't believe that, maybe you want to get a home inspector to come over there and inspect your home, and I promise you when he leaves, he's going to leave you with several pages of problems with your house that you had no idea about. So again, all you're disclosing is what you have knowledge of. That's it. That's all anybody would expect you to be able to disclose. But those things absolutely have to be done. And if you're an investor, please know you're not exempt. You absolutely have to go ahead and provide that disclosure form. All right, again, we're about out of time, but here's my cell phone if anybody would like any help with real estate, either buying or selling. The area code's 803-315-7303. Again, 315-7303. You can also go to my website. You'll see all my contact information there at frankiegriffin.com. Appreciate you listening today, and I hope you have a very warm, safe weekend, and look forward to talking to you next week on Success in Real Estate. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.